Okay, morning. 2 days back, the chief or the chairman of Nato came up, Mr. Rutte came up with a threat to most people quoted India, but he quoted it over 3 countries. And here's the thing: he quoted around. He said countries like India, China, Brazil, they don't talk to Putin or Russia to come to the peace talks. They'll be sanctioned with 100% tariffs, maybe after the 50 days that Trump gave to Russia to think of negotiation. And here's the thing: most people are looking at the tariffs that are being pushed onto India, but it's beyond India actually. It's not about actually India or Russia. It's about what these countries has mentioned above they are up to. Because if you look at the country they mentioned, many countries are trading with Russia, including the African countries. But okay, I understand African countries, the impact on Russia couldn't be that big. But this is all about the BRICS actually. This is all about the uh monopoly, about the financial initiatives, like about the if you ever been in school, you all remember the rule of the West used to use when they're using colonization in the first place. They used to use what they call divide and rule. Today, divide and rule is a concept that's getting a bit odd. Like it's reaching an expiry. So what happened when the West can no longer use a divide and rule? Because if you remember well, Trump, when he was coming to power, he was like, I need to divide China from Russia. And his biggest enemy was always they acted like their biggest enemy until now is their biggest enemy used to be China. So Trump's goal in the first place were like I have to separate Russia from China. We have to make Russia an ally, which is something kind of odd also, making Russia an ally. Someone who you refuse to be joining Nato, someone who you refuse to who you how's it called? Who you sanctioned or who actually turned his premises to Ukraine. So I wonder how you can separate China from Russia. And China today is the biggest partner for Russia. But here's the point: sanctioning India, Brazil for not telling Russia to go under peace negotiations. We must understand: does Europe still buy oil from Russia? And yeah, they still do. They really do. They really do. To understand how they really do, we must understand that even they are just simply negotiating to stop buying Russian oil in 2027. Just listen. Right now they are buying oil, but they are just negotiating to stopping buying oil in 2027 to thinking of stopping buying oil or buying Russian oil. They are hoping to stop in 2027. However, countries like India, China, Brazil, buying oil from Russia should be illegal, and it should be taken like unprecedented. It should be taken like something chaotic, a curse for you from trading with Russia. But it's okay with a few European countries. That's where things become cynical. Okay, let me just provide some numbers. Russia, sorry, Europe. They bought oil worth, I think, for within last year and this year, they bought oil worth around 22 billion euros. And they gave around 19 billion to Ukraine. And here's the funny part: they gave 16% more to Russia to buy Russian oil or Russian fossils, and give 16% less than to Ukraine. And these are the same people who are telling countries like India, China, Brazil to stop trading with to stop trading with Russia. But here's the thing: there's no way you're gonna stop someone from abroad, like from another, let's say, for example, from another family, to stop trading with someone when your own family members are still trading with that very person. Like, you're trying to stop everyone. You're saying that guy is a bad person. If I find your kids playing with him, yeah, your kids will be punished. And when your same kids are playing with that fellow person, that's how it looks in the overall of the rest of the world. It's like, why sanction the rest of the countries? But in actual sense, we all understand this is all about the BRICS. If we all know how the BRICS, if someone thinks that BRICS are not threatening, trust me, think again. It shouldn't be in Trump's mouth. Uh, Trump shouldn't be talking about BRICS as of today. He shouldn't be also posting it on Trump's social or whatever else. But the moment you start seeing leaders cramping about BRICS, just know it's hitting hard. If you look at I'm not a fan of CBDCs, but if you look at the incoming CBDCs that are coming in from, let's say, the yen CBDC, the Chinese CBDC, or the renminbi that's coming from China, trust me, the way it has been dominating all over Middle East, Asia, and South America, all countries that have been sanctioned by the US, that have been taken off the US dollar, are all getting dominated, are all fighting their way out to be joining the BRICS. And the way these things coming up, see, threat on India, trust me, that's a useless threat, if you ask me, because there was a response from the oil minister of India, Mr. Singh Puri. He came up and said, I feel no pressure about whatever sanction that are likely to be coming out. Just imagine an oil minister from India coming up, because himself, he said, like, we have no pressure about any sanction that are likely to be coming out from Nato or the Western allies against them trading with Russia. Because any country and any government, trust me, they're all playing their role, and they're really playing it well. All these countries have been trying their best to talk about Russia. Well, we all know who's Russia. And if you try to stand into the shoes of Russia, you cannot think about negotiation when negotiation have already been played around from the first place. We all know how the Prime Minister of the ex Prime Minister of the UK, I'm forgetting his name. He once said things like, it's like he said he stopped the first negotiation of Ukraine and Russia in the first place. And these are the same people who are asking for negotiation to be taking place with Russia. Here's the funny thing. They're speaking of negotiation with Russia, but the way they are pairing up with NATO is way cynical. Like, even when Russia would feel like we should be doing a negotiation with let's say with Ukraine, there's lack of the trust that there could be negotiation, because we have been seeing talks, and then we have been seeing what they call sneaking in, hitting Russian planes far away, and again celebrating. This tactic was also used by Israel. So today, trust coming from the West talking about negotiations is something that kind of leaves someone bizarre. Something that leaves you or thinking like, this guy is really serious about negotiations. If you put yourself into Russia's shoes, you look at the way today all NATO countries are supposed to be adding up 5% of their GDP into NATO, buying weapons. Buying weapons, like building up a gallery, or what I would be calling an arsenal, okay? An arsenal of guns, like just getting ready like for World War III. And if you think of people who are really speaking about World War III and who are really trying to implement it, it's all like it could be coming from the West. Because the West, I'm not being by the way, I'm someone who likes speaking about economists and being talking about geopolitics in the first place. So India, most of the something I would really love to be talking about would be like what has been seen, because all I'm trying to give these are numbers. Westerns have been known for the greatest propagandas, the greatest in geopolitical propagandas. Like, they have been the greatest controllers of media. That's why today you're seeing things like TikTok trying to be bought by any US citizen. It shouldn't be owned by any Chinese or Singapore guy. And I think maybe Singapore's whatever. So, but in simple terms, what I'm trying to say, that if you look at the situation and the way it looks, things are looking awkward. We are looking at the transfer wealth that's likely to be coming from the West to the Asian part, because if ask anyone today who's trying to invest in anything, the way they look, if you ask any investor today, where should they be investing? I'm not saying that in any way, but I'm speaking of the geopolitical climate. The way it looks, Asia is the future. Especially if you look into the government of the BRICS and everyone, how they are looking at. If you look at Asia and alignment with the BRICS, the payment system they're introducing, these are people who are finding way off the US dollar. And all this what you're looking at, all this fight for, it's because, and the way you see how NATO is reacting, it's all about how the West is losing it. It's not about, and I'm not speaking about that. I'm biased here. Yeah, I'm supporting the BRICS, but these are all numbers. If you look at the DXY, I'm speaking of that. If when I speak of the DXY, I mean the dollar index. The dollar index today has fallen by 10%. 10% down. If you look at the board, let's say the currency reserve today, most trades today in the dollar are almost being settled at almost 52%. The dollar has almost fallen 52. In 1990, that used to be a myth. Someone trading off the dollar. Many people would be laughing at you, someone to be trading off the dollar. It would look like you would look highly cynical to be thinking of trading off the dollar. But today it's happening. I mean, I may think, yeah, we have had de-dollarization for years and years, but this is really happening. If it wasn't happening, you ask yourself, why is Trump always in his mouth when I be talking about the BRICS? Why is he always talking about when they're thinking of trading off the US dollar? And it shouldn't have been that way. Yes, regardless of the stuff they have been implementing in other countries. But if you look at the US debt today is over 37 trillion. If you look at how Trump, when he was coming to power, he was speaking of a smaller government. He was speaking of spending less. But in actual sense, he has done the bloody opposite. If you ask me how opposite he has done it, I'll look at the big and beautiful bill he just passed. Okay, this in the long run is said to add over 3.4 to 4.5 billion US dollars, whatever is it, billion, whatever. I'm not forgetting the numbers, to the US debt. Okay, all this, if you look at until it, investors are going to be scared of trading the US dollar. It's not about the US getting hit. Maybe I would say like I'm pro Iran. No, it's not about that. But we are talking about in terms of economics. See, when you see me talking about the political stance, I'm talking about it in terms of economics, where an investor will be looking at or should be looking at. It's important, something anyone should understand is one or two. Like, we don't talk about the fall of the dollar because we don't like it, but we talk about it because how it has been misused, how it has been undermined, how it has used how the Western leaders have abused the use of the dollar to the rest of the world. So the way the dollar is looking, it's a trend that can no longer stop. See, to understand this, take an example of a ship. We are on the US dollar ship. We are all sitting on the ship, okay? China and everybody in the world. But we are at the point where the driver, I'm going to say the driver, let's say the Fed and Trump, their pilots, are still fighting for where to turn left or turn right, but down we are having waterfall. China is building up. China that's also on the ship has a smaller ship that's trying to tell other people guys, it's time to get off the ship. We join this ship because that ship is going to sink. That's that's the situation today in economics, because trust me, the dollar dominance is falling almost day by day, day by day. Like it's heading way down. And if you look at the US debt today, Trump is running for the what I will be calling the stable coins. He's running for crypto, and it's gonna be disrupting the financial system of the financial US system for trading, especially banks. Banks are in their most scary points of life. But here's the thing. Here's the most funny thing. We must understand. We must understand two or three things at the same time. My next video is going to be about the stable coins, crypto, and how Trump is likely to be implementing to stable coins. However, we must understand that all the threats that are getting implemented on these BRICS countries are likely not to work like the way it happened to Russia, because these countries have been moving fast. They're no longer thinking of buying treasury bonds, and they're just buying up today things like gold. Okay, they could be buying less of crypto, but yes, they're buying crypto. I'm not saying they're not buying, but mostly they're buying crypto. So the threats that are happening to India or are likely to be put on these countries, China, India, Brazil, and the rest, those are likely to be trading with Russia. Those threats may really work less, because these countries have been sanctioned for years and they're likely to be ready for anything that's coming. Yeah, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.